2 coffees deep and I got a belly full of avocado toast. Let's do this. 4x4 is a novel by Spanish author Sara Mesa. She is a pretty beloved success story in her native Spain, and now, thanks to the incredible translation by Katie Whittemore and the publication of this novel by Open Letter, I really hope she's going to see as much success in the English language. 4x4 is a fantastic book. I'll start with the negative, which is that I did not like the ending. The book is structured in 3 parts. The first part takes up exactly 33% of the book. I read it on Kindle, so that's how I know that. In this first section, you have a collection of children, and the story kind of moves unchronologically between their stories and also between different protagonists. After the 33% bit, it turns into a diary from a teacher's perspective. And this is the bulk of the book. This is the majority of the story. And then right at the end, the extra, the last 5% of the book is a very surreal collection of prophetic, philosophical, poetic musings about walls. That's not really spoiling the ending at all, don't worry. And I found that bit jarring, and I guess I will hold my hands up and say I didn't really understand the point of it, other than the fact that the book is very much about walls. So, 4x4, what's it about? 4x4 is a Gothic Ish book about a school, and that is all I needed to know to jump right in. It has parallels with Kazuo Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go, which is one of my favourite books by my very favourite writer, and it's not just like Never Let Me Go because it's set in a school. It also follows the same themes of that book, in the sense that it is about power struggles. It is about hierarchies, and it is about how much control people in arbitrary levels of power get to have over the people who are below them. And a school where you have management, teachers, and students is the perfect setting for this, especially a boarding school, private school out in the countryside, big high walls around it. Around that is basically a moat of countryside and cities far in the distance. Throughout the story, we get told that these cities are struggling. One of them is just full of violence and is kind of falling apart, and the other city has already fallen apart. And so this school is a safe haven, but is it? And so it plays with our perception, and it's not so much told from an unreliable narrator's perspective, but it gives us an unrealistic expectation of what this world is, and that's really clever. It's Gothic in the sense that it follows a few Gothic tropes. It is in a small, isolated place. It has characters who are frightened and nervous and paranoid, and it has a lot of dark themes that are explored through vagueness, and so that in itself is extremely Gothic. How much of this is real? How much of this is in their minds? How much of this is paranoia? Who do we believe? Who do we trust? All of that is done fantastically well. In the first third of the book, you've got 2 characters. One is Celia, and the other is Ignacio. I think it's Ignacio. And Celia, her story is written in the first person, and Celia's story is one of her trying to escape and her kind of making friends and trying to survive. And then Ignacio's story is really even more fascinating. Ignacio becomes completely obsessed with a new boy who enters the school, and the new boy quickly rises through the ranks socially. But Ignacio is obsessed with this boy. Ignacio is horrifically bullied, and Ignacio kind of almost believes that he has some sort of psychic powers. Then, when it switches to the perspective of a teacher, he is a supply teacher, and he is writing a diary. He is a failed writer, and he's not actually a teacher, and you get to know a bit more about that as it goes on. And in his diary, he talks about these children that we've come to know in the first part of the book from a different perspective. And his attitude towards Ignacio is very different to Ignacio's own perspective that we've already seen. And rather than it framing Ignacio in a different light, it makes you think about how this teacher might not be as clued in as he thinks he is. And so getting these different perspectives is fascinating. It's not so much about revealing things as it is about twisting things. Really, really good writing. So this diary covers about 2 months worth of time over November, December, Christmas, January, and then things start to fall apart. And it's all about uncovering the disgusting, rotten core at the center of this school. But it's not a core, it's not a center, it's the top of a pyramid. And so there is kind of a class struggle, class structure, capitalist structure, allegory thing going on. And it's done exceptionally well, especially because it's from the perspective of an outsider who is kind of in the middle of this pyramid. He's not management, he's not a child, and he's still an outsider who's trying to understand how this structure is made and most of all maintained. I absolutely love that. This first-person perspective in a diary format works well enough, but what really sells it is the impeccable language, the fact that the chapters are very, very short and snappy, and it's translated so perfectly by Katie Whittemore. I haven't seen translation like this in such a long time. It is phenomenally bombastic and poetic and delicate, but also sharp. In what was it, an interview or a commentary somewhere, Katie Whittemore herself said that she did more editing and returning to this again and again and sharpening her translation more than she usually does with books, and you can tell that it really pays off here. I cannot praise her translation enough. This is phenomenal stuff. So the pacing and the structure of this book is what really, really sells it, as well as these very, very ambitious themes that are pulled off fantastically well, about power struggles, about pyramids, about class systems and structures, and how those things are hollow and rotten, and people at the top can take advantage of people down below. And these are things that any good socialist like myself already knows and is already angry about on a daily basis. But to see it done in this way, it's not reinventing the wheel, but it is done succinctly, and it's not kind of an on-the-nose metaphor. It's a book that you can enjoy in and of itself because of the way it is set, because of the characterization, and because of these beautiful Gothic scenes and this Gothic imagery that's going on. But it is a book that, if you're not as left-wing as I am, it might change your mind, or at least have you consider how power structures and power struggles work. And in that sense, I think it absolutely sells itself perfectly. As I said, the only thing I don't love is the ending, not just in the sense that the last few bits are very vague and almost surreal stories about walls, but also the way that the teacher's diary story wraps up. I didn't love it. It does tie in with the first part of the story, but not in a way that I felt satisfied with. However, I also don't think a book should end in a satisfying way, so I'm kind of arguing with myself about that. Apart from that, I loved this book. I really, really did. I thought it was fantastic. As I said, the translation is stellar. The book is not very long. It's about 160 pages. I read it in 2 days, and I think I'd read it again. I think it has a lot of staying power, and I think it is something that is worth revisiting. And it would be a joy to reread because of how beautifully paced and punchy it is, and how sharp and almost aggressively antagonistic the language is. It's a fierce, angry book, told in an angry way and translated with as much ferocity. Stellar book, 4x4 by Sara Mesa. Read it.